Hello my friends, how are you? I don't know why it is taking me so long to edit this series. Maybe I just want it to be perfect, but in reality, for this leg of the trip to Florence, we really were just interested in documenting all of the places we visited and the food we ate. So this video is a little less reflective, a little less cinematic. We only had a few days in the city, so what you'll find in this video are some of the touristy spots we think were worth the visit, and also a few hidden gems we stumbled upon that ended up being some of our favorite memories from the trip. A little fun fact about me: as a kid, my family had a tea time tradition where we would gather around a pot of tea and cookies and watch travel videos to Europe. I would love to continue this tradition with you, so feel free to grab a cup of tea and join me as we travel through Florence. I can't believe I'm saying that. Our first stop is the world's oldest pharmacy. The pharmacy has its roots dating back all the way from 1221 when Dominican friars founded the convent of Santa Maria Novella. They made medications and pomades for the infirmary using the medicinal herbs from their gardens, and over the next few hundred years, the public began to hear about the quality of these products. The pharmacy eventually opened to the public, reached international fame, eventually expanded to fragrances, skincare, and body care products. The history of this place is fascinating, and exploring these rooms felt like walking through a museum. We spent a good amount of time just admiring the different fragrances and packaging. Many of the fragrances have a very herbal and floral scent, like what you would imagine a garden to smell like. This was, in my opinion, a must visit, if not for the fragrances, for the art. It's just so beautiful. To the School of Leather.
Wow, that's crazy.
Next is a viral spot you've probably heard of on social media. It's the School of Leather. I couldn't get a great shot, but it was so cool to see the artisans at work here. Once you go through the courtyard and up the stairs, you'll see their beautiful handiwork. I have to admit, I don't know much about leather, but our friend who recommended this place raved about the quality and price offered here. Really cool spot just to look around. They had everything from wallets, bags, belts, and jackets.
What the universe has in store for me. People passing by in the street will be smiling at me, 'cause they already know what it's like being in love.
You got the crispy water.
Ew, she's been looking for his crispy bar. Is it crispy?
It's crispy.
You have to come here for the crispy water, I guess. Next up, I want to introduce to you our favorite restaurant we visited in Florence. It's not the most famous pasta place, but we found it as we were wandering the same streets as the Perfumery. If you know me, one of my favorite foods is pasta, specifically this oil garlic pasta called aglio e olio. I found out it's more of an appetizer, not a meal, so when I asked the server if the serving would be large enough for us, he said, "Don't worry, we'll make it a meal." So he doubled the portion, and when I saw this dish, I nearly cried. It may look very simple, but when simple is done well, it's the best. Our server was so fun to talk to. We actually came here twice, in part because of him. He said the aglio e olio is one of his favorites. We tried everything the second time we visited, knowing this was our last day. I don't know if you can go wrong here. Great prices, amazing service, and delicious food. What more can you ask for?
Uffizi.
You cannot visit Florence without visiting the Uffizi Galleries. Even if you're not a history or art geek, there is something so surreal about seeing these pieces that you've only read about in textbooks in real life. So just being able to see the brush strokes and the true color of the pieces up close was truly breathtaking. I remember walking through these collections, realizing the amount of history these pieces carried and wondering how many collective working hours these pieces took to complete. Wondering if the artists themselves even knew in the beginning that the canvas they were working on would eventually be seen by millions of people over hundreds of years. This is Vecchio Forno. This was a really nice bakery, not necessarily I would say one to seek out, but if you do happen to be in the area, it's a really nice option for some delicious and fresh pastries. They don't serve coffee, but they actually welcomed us to get our coffee from across the street and enjoy it with our pastries. Yoshi and I are weak for any kind of fruit tart, but I also really enjoyed this tart. It had a rice pudding filling that was delicious, great to pair with a cappuccino or Americano from across the street. Ugh, my mouth is watering just watching this again. My favorite. Our last day here in Florence. We are flying out back to Barcelona tonight. The skies are just so pretty right now. The past few days were like crazy hot, but today is like so beautiful.
Mid-90s.
Yeah,
and
cloudy.
It's just like
humid.
East Coast. It's like New York in the summer vibes.
Yeah. We happened to stumble across this church here. They say that Leonardo da Vinci got inspiration from the Last Supper piece that's inside this church to make the famous Last Supper piece that we know today. Important place of history. This is also where Botticelli was buried. So let's go in. Now, I'm a little embarrassed to admit that we did not book reservations to see the Duomo, so don't be like us. Make sure you reserve a spot well in advance. But on our last day, we stumbled across a more hidden gem, the Ognissanti, which is the burial place of the famous painter Sandro Botticelli, who painted some of my personal favorite pieces housed in the Uffizi, like the famous Birth of Venus and Fortitude from the Seven Virtues. We were lucky enough to catch the last hour before the church closed for a wedding, so you'll see them setting up in the background here. There were just so many beautiful pieces. I felt like my eyes were permanently glued to the ceiling admiring such detailed work. And it is said that Leonardo da Vinci studied Domenico Ghirlandaio's last summer fresco that is housed here before painting his own masterpiece. No need to stand in line to see beautiful Renaissance pieces, and it's free admission. Just keep in mind that this is an active church, so please be respectful as you visit this beautiful space. This was both of our first times visiting Italy, and we were so happy just wandering the streets and admiring the buildings. You know, when you visit a place for the first time, everything is new, so we were happy just admiring the details of the buildings, tasting a real Italian pasta, a real Italian cappuccino, and seeing some of the more touristy areas while stumbling across some more hidden gems. On our way home to Seattle, we actually stayed one last night in Barcelona at the Barcelona Airport Hotel, which, by the way, was so aesthetic. Highly recommend staying there. I couldn't capture all the details since we arrived so late, but we really enjoyed our stay. We had one last surprise though on our flight back to Seattle. We weren't expecting it, but we were given business class tickets back home, which was so crazy. We were literally horizontal. I wanted to take you along with me on this business class flight experience, so I recorded a whole mukbang. If you're interested, I'll be posting this video in a few days. I had so much fun sharing some of my favorite moments from our trips in Italy and Barcelona over these weeks. I have a few fun skincare videos lined up, so stay tuned. Thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.